Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wondergoal, the soccer betting podcast from the Action Network, presented to you by Bet365. My name is Michael Leboff, and joining me for this our round of 16 preview at Euro 2024 are BJ Cunningham and Sam Ingram. Right before he heads off to Glastonbury, in Scotland, right? It's in Scotland somewhere, right?
No, no,
No,
it's in England.
it is. I thought it's in the north or something. Is it close to
No,
Scotland? Wow. Why did I
no,
always
no,
associate
nowhere
this?
near Scotland.
Why did I always associate Glastonbury with Scotland? I don't know. Anyways, aside from that, we are going to go match by match here, give out our favorite bets for each match. Any futures we like, we'll talk about as we get into those teams. So if BJ likes, Italy to win it all now, he'll bring that up as we get into Switzerland versus Italy, which is where we'll start. The Swiss are a plus 240 underdog on the three-way line here. Italy's plus 140. The draw is plus 190. The two advance line, it's pretty tight. I believe the tightest of all. Yeah, it is the tightest of all 8 matches. Plus 110 on Switzerland to advance, minus 138 on Italy. I actually have some interest in Switzerland here, the way I will bet it. I'll get into it in a sec, Sam, but you're also in on Switzerland one way or another.
I am Michael. After Italy's comeback win over Albania in the opener, I had higher hopes for Italy than I did 90 minutes previous. Looking at the squad, it didn't fill me with confidence. They weren't spoken about as contenders to reach the semis or the finals, given that rung of nations at the top end of the betting. Um, But yeah, after Albania, and in hindsight, it was reactionary. But I started to believe that maybe they had something to offer and cause problems against the bigger boys, against Croatia and Spain. But after those games come around, that belief was quashed, in all honesty. And now they face a Swiss side who are, like England, developing a skill set which sees them coast through to the knockout stages time after time. They're used to making the round of 16. They boast the know-how to get there. This is actually the sixth major tournament in a row where they have qualified from the group. And according to the betting expert Euros betting guide, since 1998, if you back the draw in every single Euro knockout match, you'd have an return on investment of 38.1% from 58 matches. So 24 out of 58 were draws. So big numbers. And it just goes to show that the draw is very much a live runner at this stage of the competition. And for this game specifically, I think it is, hence me bringing it up. And it's not a surprise that the pressure is the highest it's ever been for some of these players. The expectation levels rise enormously out of the groups. England, for example, over the years, we've had a ridiculous level of expectation, and usually on some teams that just weren't equipped to win a major tournament or even come close to it. Now in Switzerland, they're solid. Summer at the back three plus Xhaka in front. There's 480 international caps combined there. Xhaka and Freuler will ensure that Italy's midfield will be harried and hassled. The defenders in behind them, Shah, Akanji, Rodriguez, will ensure whoever starts up front for Italy will have a troublesome 90 minutes. And now we mentioned last week that the Swiss have got pace to get in behind, up top and on the wing. And they've also got a squad and management team packed with major tournament experience, as I've touched on. And that's invaluable. And if you're looking at the Italian side, I don't think it has that, not to the same degree at least. And this tournament, Italy have struggled against the two high quality nations so far, while Switzerland nearly trumped Germany and they cast aside a decent enough Hungary outfit. And I can see them serving up a similar level of performance. The quarter goal advantage on the handicap here, it's a must for me, really, in the round of 16, considering we get the draw inside and considering we profit from the draw. So you can get Switzerland on the Asian handicap at minus 120 for a quarter goal head start on Bet365. And I think I like the look of that.
Yeah, I like Switzerland here. I'm probably just gonna play them to advance with the idea of playing a money line or to advance rollover because I do think that they would, if England gets through against Slovakia, I think that Switzerland would be live against them as well. And they're 33 to 1 to win the tournament. I don't think that they'll get there, but with a rollover where you're just basically taking your stake, betting it, and then taking that, lumping it out into the next round, um, you have the ability to put a stop to it, right? And I think that as we get into maybe a trickier matchup for Switzerland, and whether it be the semis or the finals, should they get there, you have that ability and that flexibility. But I wasn't really just enamored with the Switzerland team before the tournament. I think that was wrong. They are I think, very live to make noise. The draw obviously helps. So BJ, I'm looking that way uh, for this one. And I'm surprised honestly to see that you're sitting this one out
Hmm.
just because you like the Swiss team in previous tournaments.
Yeah, I do, Michael. I projected this pretty close to around where the market has it. And at the end of the day, I tend to trust my numbers more than my brain because my brain tends to be a lot stupider than my numbers. So, Sam's hit the nail on the head is that Italy looked great in the comeback against Albania. They controlled that match from start to finish. And they looked terrible against Spain, like really, really bad. And we've already mentioned it, but they couldn't get out of their own final third. They allowed Spain to have 11 high turnovers. We'll get to Germany in a second, but I thought Switzerland was very brave and very aggressive and very good with their defending of Germany. Germany's one of the most difficult teams to defend in this entire tournament with how Nagelsmann has them set up. And they went aggressive. They went man to man and they stifled them for large stretches of that match. So they can do the same here to Italy. And I think what's like most concerning about Italy is, we know Spalletti is from his days at Napoli that he is a great manager. He's somebody who wants his team to build out of the back, but he's also very versatile and he can have his team play very direct. But Italy playing very direct has been terrible. Like they have not been able to play balls over the top. They've not been able to play in transition. It seems like their only method is really to play out of the back, which in a match like this against a Swiss team that has shown ability to press high and cause a lot of problems or be just very good in the mid block, that is the troublesome part. So if I were to bet anything, I'd go the Sam's route, more along the lines of a draw, or maybe even potentially like Sam is on with Switzerland. But for me, my numbers are pretty close to this one, so I'm gonna pass. I still have the Swiss 80-1 tickets. So I think I'm just gonna ride that out for this round at least.
Okay, so that is the first kickoff of the round of 16, 12 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. British Summer Time in over the pond. The 3 p.m. kickoff Eastern time is Germany and Denmark. Germany are no longer the tournament favorites. That now belongs to England because of the draw, but we'll get into all that in a second. For this one, Germany's minus 175 odds on the three-way line. Denmark coming back as a 5-1 underdog. The draw here is plus 290. This is one where I actually do like the draw a bit because I think Denmark is just really suited to drag teams and force even the best teams in the world into these slugfests. We saw with England at the last Euro. Like they can take you to the deep end of the pool and they'll bet on themselves to be able to just hang around and capitalize on a mistake. So I think you're going to have one team here to set up to do just that, which is Denmark. The other team, Germany's going to be under. We talked about this before their opening match against Scotland. Like they'll feel the pressure on their shoulders. All that pressure is going to come right back now that we're into the knockout stages. They're at home. They've obviously raised the bar of expectations with their performances in the group stage, but just because a team looked really good doesn't mean we'll just see that same team show up again in this situation. So I think Denmark is a good team to just. I think no matter who they would have taken on in the round of 16, if it of the big boys, honestly, of any team, like because they also don't seem to be able to punch down all that well. I think the draw is always going to be live with a team like this, BJ. So I'm going to look at the draw here at plus 290, bet 365, Denmark and Germany. I think this one goes beyond the 90 minutes.
Yeah, I like something in a similar fashion. Both teams have scored no, minus 125. So I think there's a lot of concerns with the Danish attack right now. They've become too reliant on Christian Eriksen to be their main facilitator and honestly creator. So he has 10 shots so far this tournament. Their two strikers, Jonas Wind and Rasmus Højlund, have combined for 7 total shots. I mean, Højlund's gotten 2 shots this entire tournament. That's not really what we expected coming in. Through their 3 matches, they've only created 3.2 expected goals, and 43% of their shots have come from outside the box. So you can kind of see where the struggles have come from a chance creation standpoint. I mean, I think their match against England is a good example of what this match I think is kind of going to look like. Once it got to 1-1, they kind of conceded possession to England. They sat in a 5-3-2. They didn't allow them to play through the middle. And they've been very good defensively. I mean, 2.3 expected goals throughout the group stage is a very, very impressive feat. And what they're going to have to do here, though, we'll get to England in a second, but it's easy to sit passively against a team that's not going to penetrate you through the middle. But as Scotland learned against Germany, if you refuse to pressure the ball, if you refuse to pressure Tony Kroos, they are going to pick you apart time and time again. Like I mentioned, the Swiss were very brave. They were very aggressive. They pressed the ball. They didn't allow Tony Kroos to get easy passes. And that's what Denmark's going to have to do. Now, Hjulmand is out. He's got a yellow card suspension. So my guess is that means that Christian Norgard is going to come in. That's going to be a very defensive midfield pairing with him and Højbjerg, who's the more ball winner compared to Hjulmand. So my guess is that Denmark will be very well versed to be able to keep those teams out of the middle, because Norgard, obviously playing with Brentford, plays in a very similar defensive structure. Now, for Germany, I mean, they make it so hard. Like, they really do. Like, with the fact that Musiala and Wirtz and Florian Wirtz can all drop deep and move all the way around the pitch. If you want to go man-to-man, which a lot of teams do at the international level, you pull a lot of center backs out of uncomfortable positions. So, like, when the Swiss were playing 3 center backs, it was Akanji was on Musiala for most of the match. And Musiala just kept dropping deep, and he kept moving all the way around pitch and just pulling Akanji with him. But they were aggressive, and it worked. But a lot of teams, that doesn't really work. So it'll be very interesting to see what this Denmark team can do. But in the end, I really don't see how their attack's going to threaten this Germany team. You have to be good in transition to beat Germany. That's what Switzerland showed. Denmark has 0 counterattacking shots so far this tournament. So I like both teams to score no, -125, projected closer to -160. I just don't really see much with the Danish attack here. I think Germany gets through this thing in a 1-0 or 2-0 type fashion.
So just following on from that, and although my bet is a lean of Germany win, Germany most corners at +162, I like the draw too, similar to you guys, and maybe back to the betting expert Euros betting guide with another shameless plug. If we analyze the World Cup and Euros in the round of 16 specifically since 1998, 72 matches have been played, 25 draws. So that would be a 26.3% return on investment if backing every game to be a draw with a level 1 unit stake. So maybe that's the way to go here. I expect it will be low scoring. I expect it will be cagey. All in all, though, I back Germany just to edge it. The bookmakers have them as +167 favourites, which feels a touch short. I won't be touching that on its own. Denmark have created 3.2 XG from 3 games. They've accumulated 3 points. And at the other end, they've conceded just 2.2 expected goals. So far from goal heavy in the group stages for the Danish. So, and yeah, I expect this one to follow a similar path. Denmark will look to contain and keep Germany at bay. I don't think they'll have much joy going forward themselves, as BJ's touched upon. I think they'll be able to contain successfully for large parts of the game. However, in the end, I'm banking on that German forward line to have a little too much in forward areas. Hopefully, we see more from them than we did against the Switzerland. And I suppose the worry is that Germany will struggle when coming up against a low block when trying to break Denmark down. They struggled against the Swiss. Yakin moved to a 3-4-3 shape where Xhaka was really aggressive to Tony Kroos. Akanji did similar to Kai Havertz. And they learned from what didn't work for Scotland and Hungary, and they adapted in match day 3. Tactical flexibility from the Swiss, something that we haven't always seen from them, something which they aren't really known for. And they very nearly got the better of Germany. So in terms of the bet, the idea here with the corners attached to the German win is that Denmark should present as solid and tough to break down, but Germany will keep pushing and pushing as hosts in front of a home crowd, being busy and active at that end of the pitch, taking shots to see that corner line increase. We mentioned it before the tournament. I trust Julian Nagelsmann to find a way in these situations when it's knockout football, manager versus manager. I think I'm ready to lean on Nagelsmann when the time comes. Tah is suspended. Rudiger is a doubt, so that is a huge concern. It might knock Germany out of sync back there, and they haven't looked the most robust defensively. Schlotterbeck could come in, so there are concerns along that defensive line. But just here, it's more of a lean. But at the prices, if Germany can edge in front eventually, most corners might follow up +162.
Okay, that means we got to do it. We got to move on to Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. June 30th, England and Slovakia. England are -250 on the 3-way line. Slovakia 8-1. The draw would pay +333 here. England is -600 to advance. Slovakia 4-1 to advance. And wouldn't you know, England, who I think of all the favorites are have been the most disappointing team. I think it's fair to say relative to expectations. Well, they're your betting favorites, folks, because they are now plus 350 to win the tournament, ahead of Spain, plus 450. Germany's 5.5 to 1. So is France, and Portugal's right behind them. And it just simply comes down to this draw, which, I mean, maybe this was Gareth Southgate's plan all along, because it is unbelievable. So England plays Slovakia in the round of 16, then they'll catch the winner, Switzerland versus Italy. And then the other foursome in their half of the bracket is Romania, Netherlands, Austria, and Turkey. So good, man. What a break for England, Sam. The thing is, I think this one sets up really well for a draw bet too, because we just saw it with England time and again in the group stage. Like, they are really struggling to create on their own. Teams are onto it. I think I mean, Slovenia just sat back and dared England to do anything. They earned the draw, the 0-0 in that one. They drew with Denmark too, so we're already seeing them draw twice. They've been uninspiring. They haven't scored more than one goal in a game. But on the other side, they don't give much up. So the draw is just always going to be in play in this match, right? Even if England's up 1-0 or Slovakia's up 1-0, the draw is just always going to be in touch. This one, to me, really sets up well for a bet on this thing to go past 90 minutes, and it would be very England to drag a team like Slovakia to penalties in the round of 16. So perhaps if you can find that prop, where will this match end? Penalties, I'm sure I can track that down as you're going on about England here.
So, yeah, the draw is looking favourable again. We got Gareth Southgate playing 4D chess. He's a genius, and that's why he's earning the big bucks. That's why he's the highest paid manager in Germany this summer. Looking at our model at Betting Expert, we've got England to win the Euros at 26, a probability of 26.29%. That's double Germany in second and double France in third. So that's how we see it. I'm not so sure about that myself, but the draw is favorable. Against Slovenia, England weren't good enough. Again, if the desire is to be one of the leading nations at the tournament, the performance wasn't of that level. The performance got the job done, top of the group and through to the knockouts. It wasn't necessarily convincing. I feel like I've said that twice now, or 3 times. We saw England's quality, but it only ever arrived in glimpses. We looked sharper after Cole Palmer come on in forward areas. Kobe Mainu come on at halftime for Conor Gallagher, who didn't really impress, but Mainu looks pretty assured in there, and I think Gareth Southgate might go for him again. Phil Foden's had to return home for the birth of his child. He might be in contention here, but if he's anything like my missus, then she'll have him staying with him for a few days, I'm sure. Slovakia will look to try and get on the ball, knock it around, but will also gladly sit in a low block out possession against England. We've seen that England are happy enough to concede possession if their defensive third is out of arm's reach. That's what Southgate likes. That's how he likes to play it. And that might be on the horizon again. As long as the ball's away from our 18-yard box, he'll be happy with that. So we might see Slovakia have more of the ball than you'd usually expect against a top nation. I would love to see Anthony Gordon on the left. I've also said that a few times here. Now it sounds like a broken record. But however Southgate sets up, England should go through with goals coming at a premium. So I liked under 2.5 goals, but you can add England to qualify on, and that gets up the price alongside under 2.5 goals of plus 110. And I'm semi-thankful I'm at Glastonbury this weekend because I won't have to watch it, which is nice.
Anything here, BJ?
Yeah, I like under 2.5 and minus 135. So yeah, I mean, it's like the same story, right? Like, there's nothing really's changed.
Yeah,
like,
it's amazing.
Going into the
3 goals total. 3 goals total in their matches.
Going into the Slovenia match, I was just like, all right, well, they can't play through the middle. Their rotations are slow. They're just passing the ball around, and they haven't created anything. And that's kind of exactly what happened. They have not created over 1 expected goal in any match, but they won the group. So like at the end of the day, you're like, okay. But I think the other point is, like, they still are the best defensive team in this tournament. Like, they've allowed 1.1 non-penalty expected goals. And it's because the thing I keep saying is, like, They don't allow you to beat in transition. They don't allow chances off of set pieces, and they really do a good job of defending crosses, which are the three areas that underdogs like Slovenia, Serbia, and Slovakia can beat you. So I don't think Slovakia is going to get any of the ball here. I don't think they're really going to get any chances on England's end. So it's really just going to come down to, can England create enough from open play? They're just getting the ball out wide. What's kind of weird is I was looking through some of England's stats. They're in the bottom half of this tournament in terms of percentage of attacks through the middle of the pitch. So a lot of their attacks have come from out wide, but they've attempted the fourth lowest crosses. So that means they're just relying on a lot of individual quality to create those chances from out wide, which they do have the best players in the world out wide. But especially against very, very compact structures, it's very, very difficult to just dribble through teams. And especially when you don't have a lot of guys in the middle of the pitch, it's hard to make those combination passes. For Slovakia, I mean, listen, they got a good center back pairing. They have a good central midfielder. Like they showed against, I know they allowed over 2 expected goals to Belgium, but like they have proven in this tournament that they can be decent sitting back. So I like under 2.5 minus 135. I'm just going to keep betting these England unders until they prove that they can, create more than 1.5 expected goals in a game.
Nonetheless, like Jude Bellingham's still up there as one of the favorites for player of the tournament. Obviously, Harry Kane's got 1 goal and the leader has 3. So it's not like he shouldn't be.
That's the other thing, Michael, is like Jude Bellingham the last 2 games has not been that good like he was in the first one. And like the other problem is if you want to play through the middle, like they have nobody there. So like he gets isolated there. Kane keeps dropping deep, but they can't get him the ball. So like they're just kind of stuck right now. They just need to be more like,
I think stuck is
it sounds simple, but they just need to be more brave.
Yeah.
I
honestly think stuck
That's the same story for
word.
what? How long? What, 20 years now, Sam, or what? How long Southgate's been in charge?
At least. Yeah, man. Yeah. So like player of the tournament odds right now, Bellingham and Jamal Musiala, who's been amazing.
Musiala, yeah, he's been incredible.
Yeah, and Tony Cruz, like the 3 of them are 3-way favorites at 8-1 right now.
Tony, I don't know what the odds are on Tony Cruz, but the sentimental value of Germany.
He's 8-1 too.
There you
that's
go.
baked in.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I remember saying this about England. I don't know if it was the last Euros or at the World Cup, but we're not going to find anything else out about them because they're playing Slovakia next. So their group was soft.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing Slovakia next, and they're going to play. They'll be favorites against Switzerland. So their semifinal match, if they get through, is the worst case scenario for them would be the Netherlands, who haven't really set the tournament alight either. So it's
they
amazing.
Beat Italy twice during qualifying.
Yeah, they're not going to run into a true test until the finals if they get there.
I think they're plus 150 to make the finals, which is, I think, kind of an interesting price. It's interesting.
It's interesting. It's insane that this is how the tournament. This is why we love the tournament, right? Like,
I know.
We'll talk. I want to talk about this when we get to like Austria and Netherlands too. Like you go in, you kind of have yourself a plan, and it just gets blown up because it always, the draw always gets chewed up and it gets spit out like this, where you have Germany, France, Portugal, and Spain on one half, and England is looking around the room because the only other danger they see here is the Netherlands and perhaps Austria. Anyways, so yeah, that's 12 p.m. kickoff on Sunday, 5 p.m. British summertime. So right in the heat of I guess day 3 of Glastonbury for you, Sam. So hopefully, yeah, you aren't watching, but maybe you'll be home in time to watch what should be a wild scene when Georgia takes on Spain, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Spain is minus 500 on the 3-way line. That makes them easily the biggest favorite to win their match in 90. Georgia's 12-1. The draw here 6-1. Obviously, a tremendous achievement for Georgia, the small country in the Caucasus, to make it to the knockout stage in their first ever international tournament. And as we said a couple times, they did it in a way that is so different from what we usually see when we see stories like this pop up, where, like when Greece won the Euro in 2004, the pirate ship team, they just sat deep and won every match by, stealing a 2-1 win and playing an insane park the bus. It was incredible, but at the same time, this Georgia team, they are playing cocaine ball. It's so much fun to watch them. The matches the past couple at the end of the group stage have been awesome. And I think a lot of it is the stakes and these teams just being like, you know what, screw it. Like, what do we have to lose here? And what do you have to gain? You have a chance to take on Spain in the not round of 16. Spain is minus 1,000 to advance. Georgia 6-1. I don't know if there's anything of betting value. The one thing I'm a little interested in is the 0-0 first half line. I think that this could be a situation where these two teams are just like completely almost don't know what to do with one another, right? Like Spain will know, okay, this Georgia team, they've been balls to the wall all tournament, a little nervous about maybe them catching us in transition and going up 1-0, and we'd bet on ourselves to beat them over, 90 or 120 minutes just by, passing the ball around them and finally getting a moment of magic from one of our guys. And at the same time, I think Georgia will be thinking, like, how do you play a team like this in a knockout stage, right? They've never done it before. I think that sets up for like an interesting feel your opponent out situation, at least through the first 20 minutes. And if we could get to 0-0 at that point, you're pretty live. So that's one bet I'm thinking of here, Sam, and as we take on Georgia and Spain.
Yeah, look, there's no right or wrong way to progress through a tournament, but you'd have to say that Georgia have done it the right way. It's been great to watch. I was on the edge of my seat last night. I was celebrated when that first goal went in after a couple minutes. Ranked 74th in the world through to the business end of the tournament, and it's thoroughly deserved. You've got Mikatadze up front leading the tournament in terms of goals scored, 2 coming from the penalty spot, so that's a bit of fun. Their 2-0 win over Portugal was one of the biggest upsets at the Euros ever. It makes its way into the top 5 biggest upsets odds-wise at the Euros since the year 2000. And like you said, it doesn't get any easier for them now, playing the only team in the tournament with a 100% record. And I fear that Spain will do what they do, move the ball about the pitch from one flank to the other, utilising their 2 pacey wingmen, trying to isolate the 2 fullbacks whenever possible. And I think those 2 wide men will repeatedly prove a thorn in the side of those Georgian flanks. The Asian handicap minus 1.75 for Spain. I thought that looked like an interesting way in. I had it down at -2 Asian handicap. So I thought that was a little bit of value. And I assume the -2 is where the line will end up. I really hope Georgia can spring a surprise. Kvaratskhelia in that midfield, who will need to be brave, join the attack, and have the game of their lives like they did in match day 1 against Turkey. They'll need to find the net. Mikatadze will need to find the net again for the 4th game in a row. So the odds are stacked against them. A lot of things are going to have to go right against Spain for Georgia to progress. Spain will have to have an off day. I just can't see it happening. It's been a great story. I really hope they can continue it, but I don't think they can. So in terms of value, the Spanish handicap is the standout for me. Minus 1.75 at minus 119.
Yeah, so these 2 teams are actually familiar with each other because they played each other during qualifying. And Spain won by a combined score of 10-2 over those 2 matches. The match in Georgia, they won.
They didn't have the magic on their shoulders yet.
That's right. Yeah. Well, they in Georgia, they won 7-1. And it's here's the problem is that cocaine ball can be good, but it also can be really, really bad. And facing an opponent like this is really, really bad. Georgia has allowed the most expected goals so far this tournament, over 8 from non-penalty situations. When they played Spain, Spain dominated the middle of the pitch, even though Georgia was playing super compact. They pinged quick passes right through them. They got the opening goal, and then the dam broke. And the goals just kept flooding in because when you are a team that is, I've said this before, but when you are a team that is primarily set up to play low block, transitional style, at least that's how you played during qualifying, and then suddenly you change it and you say, you know what, we're going to try to build out of the back a little bit. We're going to be a little bit more aggressive out of possession. They've gotten the results, but they are due for a lot of negative regression, and especially facing a team like Spain that once you go behind, not only do they not allow you to have the ball, but they're an elite counter-pressing side that can take it away from you, just like they did with 3 goals that came off of high turnover situations in that 7-1 loss. And through Georgia's 3 group stage matches, Czechia forced 28 high recoveries, and Portugal and Turkey both forced 18. So an elite counter-pressing side like Spain is going to cause a lot of problems. Also, when you play that compact type of structure, you leave yourself in 1v1 situations out wide. Well, in that match, Yamal and Nico Williams just killed them over and over again and created chances. And also, guys, guess who scored 3 goals in that 7-1 win? Alvaro Morata.
Oh man.
So, and the Golden Boot is very
Look
much
out.
live right now.
It is so live.
It is so live. So if you're somebody, I'm not sure what Morata's odds right now. I'm pretty sure he's probably still around where he was pre-tournament. If you're not in on him yet, this is his chance. They're going to send in a ton of crosses in this match probably, and he's going to be on the end of a lot of those. So for the worst defensive team in this entire tournament, like the clock is going to strike midnight. I like Spain -2 at +110.
Well, we'll be rooting for you, Georgia. Murata is 12-1 actually to win the Golden Boot.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but don't worry, we'll talk a little more Golden Boot in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is the match, right? Like the one where you see like somebody's gonna put up
exactly
a crooked number, right? Well, Murata's getting about most of Spain's shots, about 4.4 per 90. So I wish I could find somebody else on Spain to potentially do, but they're getting their best player of the ball. That's simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got some Golden Boot thoughts. We'll get to it though. Okay, that moves us on from Sunday to Monday. Another couple games here that should be just tons of fun because you'd expect everybody to be enamored with or excuse me, not to be enamored, the opposite of enamored, but to be very against Belgium here. They're taking on France at noon Eastern time on July 1st. France is -110 on the 3-way line. Belgium +350. The draw here is +220 to advance. The French are -225. Belgium +175. I'm going to say it, and you might be surprised, or maybe you're not. I think Belgium is a great bet to win the tournament right now at 33-1. They've been terrible, but that doesn't mean that they can't get better. They're really good. They have a lot of talented players, and I know the draw stinks, but I make this point in tennis tournaments all the time that when you're put into the quarter of death or the group of death or whatever, what it does is it requires you to play really well. So if you do get through France and then Portugal, it means that you're going to be in top form when we get to the semifinals. And you can, if you've already beat those 2 teams, why can't you beat Germany or Spain? So this is a team that was in the teens before the draw, before the round of 16 got sussed out. It was a team that was in that area before the tournament started. Now they're double the number. And I know that they've had trouble finishing chances, but so much of that has just been Lukaku getting VAR'd off or being unlucky that, let's say they had just run away with that first match against Slovakia because the Lukaku's goal stood or he finished his chances. We're having a very different conversation about Belgium right now. We're not talking about, oh my God, this team has been just a major disappointment. We're just like, will they be able to make amends for the disappointment in the past few tournaments that they've had with this golden generation that's now aged out? And France hasn't been all that convincing. Like they haven't. So maybe I'm crazy, Sam, but I think that Belgium at 33-1, if you had told me that you were going to hand me a Belgium ticket 33-1 at the start of the round of 16 before the tournament started, I wouldn't care who they played in this section of the tournament. I would have taken it. So I like this number here. I think Belgium is set up to be a team that all of a sudden springs to life. They've got the talent to do it.
Maybe you are crazy a little bit, Michael. Yeah, I mean,
he's definitely crazy.
I've disagreed with you once before with Romania, and I don't really want to get burnt again, and I don't want this to be clipped up and put on social medias, but I don't think, Belgium to win the tournament is probably something that I would sidestep. My bet this time round is not Romelu Lukaku anytime goal scorer. I'm going to sidestep that as well. I've had enough of that. But looking at Belgium v Ukraine, I thought they were really quite poor. Like their press is what stood out for me. Ukraine, especially in the second half, pieced together a few decent passages of play and invaded what was a pretty poor press. This was Belgium's least intense defensive display in terms of PPDA, passes per defensive action, at any of the past 4 major tournaments. And if that continues here, they'll be in trouble. I don't trust this Belgium side personally. I never really have in recent memory at major tournaments. If you keep failing to take your chances in the knockouts, you're going to be sent home. This has happened. That's what's happened so far for Belgium in terms of getting results over the line. And it means that they've stuttered into a round of 16 tie with France. And that's probably what they deserve, really. But we shouldn't forget, you mentioned it, Michael, France haven't turned up at this tournament yet. They've only scored 2 goals in the whole of the group stage. That is poor by their standards. They've been without Mbappe for 2 games, who is now back and on the score sheet. So that was probably given them a bit of a lift. If you look at Belgium, they've just looked vulnerable all tournament. They were poor against Romania defensively in match day 1. Tedesco had to make 2 changes to his back line. Looked half decent match day 2, but again, not good enough on the whole against Ukraine. They looked fragile. And if France move the ball quick and take the game to Belgium out wide and through the middle, I really fancy them here. And I was surprised at France's price. I had them at around maybe 1.8, maybe a touch shorter, anything near evens on the minus 0.5 Asian handicap or the straight win. I think it's something we've got to take.
Yeah. One other note I want to make too is if Belgium is able to pull off the upset against France, likely play Roberto Martinez in Portugal. So here's some pencil and paper handicapping, a little motivation, a little familiarity. But yeah, I mean they've been bad. Like there's no getting around it. They've been poor, but I think that also means that there's room to improve. And if you've showed all your flaws already, maybe it makes it a little easier for the management staff to be like, okay, we've been terrible in this area, and maybe Lukaku, can you just start scoring? Would be helpful. BJ, are you going to go back to Lukaku anytime goal scoring here?
No, I think I'm done, unfortunately.
You know what that means, folks. You know what that means.
Yeah, start laddering the goals for him. No, I tried the ladder against Ukraine, and they were terrible.
He didn't even get one barred off.
I know. It wasn't even fun. Like, so when it stops being fun, that's when I stop betting it. So yeah, I'm with Sam. I like France on the money line. People on the show know I'm not afraid of being wrong, so you can clip this if you want to if I'm dead wrong. So France has created 5.1 expected goals from open play or non-penalty situations, and they have not scored. They are very overdue. They have created the chances. They have been there. They created over 2 against Austria, 1.5 against against the Netherlands, and then again against Poland, 1.7 from non-penalty situations. They're still very, very, very good, and that's third most in this tournament so far. Mbappe is back in the lineup. He looked good against Poland. For Belgium, though, they're going to be in a very different type of situation, right? And maybe it's one that suits them, Michael. I don't know. But they're not going to be controlling a lot of possession here. At least I don't think they will be. They're going to be the ones that either have to try to press France, which is like a death sentence because they're just going to play balls over the top to Mbappe and just punish them, or they're going to have to sit back. And honestly, I think Belgium's back four is just garbage. Wout Faes was terrible for Leicester when they were in the Premier League. Jan Vertonghen is now 37. Tietre, who plays for Rennes, is an inexperienced defender. And Castane is more of a ball progressing right back. So you have those 4 guys who now have to sit deep and try to defend this France team. I get that Belgium's got great ball stopping in the middle of the pitch, but the ball's going to go out wide. It's not going to go through the middle. It's going to go to Mbappe. So I really, really concerned how they're actually going to defend this. So they've sat deep once during qualifying. They went ahead against Austria. It was at Austria, and they sat deep. They ended up conceding 2.5 expected goals, 14 shots, and Austria controlled 60% of the possession. So I really like France at minus 110. I think they are undervalued because they haven't been able to finish in front of net. And they also have a center back pairing that can neutralize Lukaku. And really what was happening, honestly, is they were like Ukraine was just doubling Lukaku because there's nobody else from Belgium that's getting in the box, right? Like we just have Doku really frustrates me too
Yeah.
because he will just dribble and dribble and dribble to absolutely nothing.
It was
It just
amazing.
happens over and over and over again, and it just drives me insane. And yes, it works for City, but in this type of scenario where you just need to like cross the ball instead of just stop freaking dribbling it, it's just so frustrating. So I'm on France with Sam at -110.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we have the World Cup of Darts this weekend as well. It's taking place in Germany. What a master stroke by the PDC, who know how to suck the entertainment, like raise it to a level like nobody else. And as a big darts guy, I have to mention that Team Belgium is always there's always so much drama with Team Belgium because the two players that play for their World Cup team, they don't talk to each other. They're not on speaking terms. Dimitri Vandenberg and Kim Huybrechts. And so last year they made it to the semifinals without saying a word to one another on the stage. And this year, Huybrechts will be playing despite, and BJ, you're going to love this, he broke his shoulder.
Oh no.
He broke his shoulder, and do you want to guess how? He broke it by watching his team, Royal
Oh no.
Antwerp, play Union Saint Gilloise in the Belgium Cup final and got jumped by a bunch of hooligans, and he broke his shoulder.
Oh no.
But he's ready to go. Team Belgium, I like Belgium. I think they're 28-1 to win the tournament, or maybe shorter than that. And then I like Northern Ireland.
Well, there's your parlay, Michael.
Yes, yeah. Look, the Belgium double. Anyways, so there's your World Cup of Darts podcast within the Wondergoal podcast. Anyways, Portugal and Slovenia up next, 3 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, July 1st. This is another one I like to draw a little bit here. Slovenia just did it to England. I know Portugal is a very different animal to drag to the deep end of the pool, but we saw with the game against the Czech Republic, they can be a team that just gets frustrated in the offensive third. It can take some time for them to break through. Nonetheless, Portugal is -250 on the three-way line. Slovenia +750. The draw here is +350. We mentioned it throughout this tournament that one of the great things about the way this Euro has gone is a lot of the minnows, so to speak, Georgia, Slovakia, Slovenia, etc. They've really punched up well, Romania. And the fact that Georgia and Romania did what they did, I think, has taken away some of the accolades that Slovenia would have earned if they were, the smallest team to get through. But they're through. They've got a tough one against Portugal here. I like the draw. I think that this team is set up. Slovenia will set themselves up to just drag this and turn it into a rock fight. So +350 to me is pretty good. Portugal is -600 to advance. Slovenia 4-1. Sam, anything here in what should be, I think, a pretty of the big favorites versus underdogs. I think this one will be the most interesting watch because I've got a feeling Portugal's just going to get frustrated and frustrated and frustrated.
That is a possibility. This is one for me where I really wasn't too sure how the game's going to go. We've got Portugal as heavy favourites, and with a -1.25 Asian handicap, if you think they're really gonna take the game to Slovenia successfully, then maybe that's a way you'd want to go. I'm not too sure myself. I looked at Portugal winning over 1.5 goals. That's at -139, which looks okay, but maybe a little bit short for this podcast. The Georgia game just gone. Look, it wasn't ideal, but if you can take a positive from it, if you're Roberto Martinez, is that he knows who he can rely on. He knows who to bring in and rotate when maybe he needs to change something in the game. Yao Felix looked good. Pedro Neto at fullback, not so sure, but he also looks bright. He's obviously in form. And I'll just keep this brief. Michael, I'm not really interested in taking any of the early prices that I have in front of me. So I think when that happens, it's wise to pass.
BJ?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass too. Maybe look at the under here. It's kind of been the same story with Portugal. Like they're just kind of settling for crosses, which is not generally a great method at the international level. It means if you can't, penetrate the middle and expose teams, especially a team like Slovenia, that's just gonna sit deep and not let you play through the middle. Like It's just going to come down to, can Portugal get on the end of these crosses and actually convert some of them? They were incredibly inefficient against Georgia. They had two open play shots over a 0.2 XG rating. Georgia also had 2. So, like, you can take 22 shots, but if a lot of them are just of no value, then it doesn't really mean much. So it's just going to come down to, can Portugal get on the end of these crosses? And if they can't, well, the longer this goes 0-0, the better chance that Slovenia has of hitting a Sesko banger. Maybe they get through. Who knows? But the price is honestly pretty short here for Portugal, honestly. Like, when I was looking through this, I was kind of frustrated because I was hoping I could get, Slovenia plus 1.5 at a pretty decent price, but we can't even get that right now.
Yep.
So yeah, I have to pass.
Okay. So that's the Monday games wrapped. Tuesday, which is the last day of the round of 16, starts with Romania and Netherlands, 12 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. over there in Britain. As you'd imagine, Netherlands is a pretty robust favorite, minus 225 on the three-way line. I love that they are, they're technically the away team because Romania won their group, so they are the quote-unquote only road favorite here at a neutral site. But nonetheless, Romania plus 650 on the three-way line. The draw here plus 333 to advance. The Netherlands is minus 500, and the Romania is plus 350 to get through. And like, there's one other team we'll talk about in the last match or two in terms of like outrights. One team that certainly caught a huge break from their draw was the Netherlands. They finished third. They get rewarded for it with a quartet of Romania, Austria, and Turkey. So a really big boost for the Netherlands, even though they've failed to really inspire much confidence. And I think you could say that a lot about almost every team except for maybe Spain and Germany so far. Sam, any thoughts here? I don't think there's much to get into in terms of these lines.
I agree. This and the Portugal game were the two matches I really didn't fancy getting involved in. Don't fancy much in this game. Fair play to Romania for topping the group, but like you said, just a shame they're pit against the side from one of the toughest groups in Germany. The Netherlands are that price, heavy favourites. No, not sure about that. The plus 1.25 on Romania is semi-appealing, but also a little bit concerning at the same time. That's not a bet I'd like to have on and watch because I can imagine it would be a bit hairy. But yeah, Michael, overall, it's a pass from me. I won't go on.
Yeah, I'm passing as well. I think Sam right that in the fact that Netherlands might be getting a little too high, and we might get to a situation where we could bet them. But they faced the one team kind of similar they faced was Poland, right? And they beat them 2-1. But like I mentioned, they got 14 penalty box shots against Poland, but they only created 1.4 expected goals total for the entire match. So a lot of their shots in total were of very, very low quality. Romania is an interesting team to say the least. They do play a high line, which against the Netherlands might be okay. Like, it might be a good strategy with the Netherlands dropping so many guys deep in build-up, and depending on who they're going to start up top, like it may end up working out. But again, I can just see Gakpo getting through and scoring, and then, and that's all she wrote. So for me, it's a pass. I hope Romania wins, though, Michael.
Yeah, now my love for Romania ends here because I will be rooting on the Netherlands and that future ticket as well, which of course is coupled with Brisbane to win the AFL. But so Austria and Turkey is where we'll finish this one. This is the Turkey Czech Republic match was just absolutely bonkers. I don't know who's gonna play for Turkey. I still can't figure it out because there were so many yellow cards and people missing the next match, and then they were rescinding them and then changing them around. I didn't know who the ref was even raising his arm at half the time, but he had his arm raised the entire match, it seemed like. And one of the commentators over here, and I'm sorry I can't remember who it was, but he's like, I'm actually kind of happy that the ref has lost control of this match because it's just added to the absolute drama. And it was a crazy international tournament match between Turkey and Czech Republic. And now they go to take on Austria. Austria is minus 112 on the three-way line. Turkey plus 333, the draw here plus 240 to advance, minus 225 on Austria, plus 175 on Turkey. I think this is a situation where it looks like, yeah, Austria been one of the more impressive relative to expectations teams of the tournament. They get a great draw. Their number is now down to 16, 6 to 1 to win the tournament. Feels a little crazy to me. But they have been impressive. I do think, though, when you look at these two teams in a vacuum, had this been the first match of the tournament, right? If these two teams had played each other, match one, just even with the roster that Turkey's going to have to play, I don't think that odds would be this wide. But this match has chaos written all over it. So rather than back Turkey to come out ahead in what should be just a match like just furiously going back and forth, I think I'm gonna take a shot on like an exact score. And you can read at Action Network, Nick Giffen puts out his projections, and we'll throw out like the best bets for correct scores in these matches. For me, 70 to 1 on 3-3 looks really interesting. But because I see tons of goals here, Sam, I think that this thing is going to be off the rails from the second the ref kicks it off with the whistle.
Yeah, love it. You kind of matching my thinking, Michael. I've got over 2.5 goals at minus 110. So Austria, yeah, through to the knockouts as group winners. We'd said they'd be a tough nut to crack. We said they'd cause each other, or each team's in their group problems, and they have that group mentality, like a complete knowingness behind how the manager wants them to play. You can see it in every game. And here, stylistically, Austria and Turkey should put on a show for the neutral. Vincenzo Montella wants his side to build up play from the back. And that's a dangerous game in itself against the Austrians, as we know. The recent friendly between these two saw Austria force double-digit high turnovers through a high targeted press, and Austria won that game 6-1. And that 6-1 defeat was one of Turkey's heaviest defeats as a nation in their history, and that was only in March. So Turkey will be somewhat alarmed that it's Austria they've got in the first round of knockouts. And as an Englishman, I'm over the moon that Austria are nowhere near us until the semis, at least. And if you look going forward, Turkey has managed to create 5.0 expected goals. That has them rubbing shoulders with Germany, Spain, Portugal, and France after the group stages, whilst Austria aren't too far away off that total with 3.8 expected goals from 3 games. Now, if you look going backwards the other way, both conceding both conceding a fair bit. I think Turkey rank in the top 4 for non-penalty in this tournament. Austria with 5.55 expected goals against, and Turkey with 4.74 expected goals against. So there's a lot of stats there, but basically both teams concede and create a lot of chances. And this has all the ingredients for a high-scoring, high-octane matchup. And I don't want to disrespect that Georgia v Czech Republic group stage game because that was brilliant. But I think this has the potential to be the best game of the tournament. Yeah, I've got high hopes for this. I'm expecting goals. I'm expecting cards. I'm expecting fouls, free kicks, all the props you can think of that kind of equate to a full-blooded high-octane affair. So in the end, I've settled on over 2.5 goals at minus 110. That has to be the play for me. But I think this game will have everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sam hit the nail on the head that, with Turkey wanting to build out of the back, that just creates one of two things, right? Like it creates the 6-1 defeat in the friendly where they turn it over and they concede 3 goals off of high turnovers. Or, as you've been seeing throughout this tournament, is that they like to play a lot of balls in over the top, which is how you beat Ragnick's press, right? You beat it over the top, and you got to have good technicians in the back. Kahangolu is going to be suspended for this match, I believe, unless they rescinded it, which is a big loss for Turkey in terms of their actual buildup out of the back. So that creates another issue for them against Austria. But in that same aspect, you also lose ball stopping in the middle of the pitch, which Austria can really hurt you in the wide areas. They did that against the Netherlands. There's not much you can learn from, I hate red cards because it just takes away a lot from the match. And there's really not much you can actually learn from a team of how they play. But in the end, Turkey conceded almost 2 expected goals to a 10-man Czechia team that was, without down to 10 men for about 60 minutes of that match. And like Sam said, these two teams are in the bottom 5 in terms of non-penalty expected goals allowed. So this is going to be, like Sam said, this is going to be very fun. This is going to be the most fun match of this round of games. So I'm with Sam. I like over 2.5 goals at -105.
Okay. So that's all 8 matches done and dusted. We'll go into an underdog parlay now. The only rule is it has to be plus 200 or longer to qualify. BJ, what do you got?
Spain team total over 3.5 at +275. Spain has beaten Georgia twice in qualifying by a combined score of 10-2. What happened in both of those matches was Spain was able to dominate the middle of the pitch. They were able to ping passes through and get the opening goal. And once the opening goal happened, the dam broke for Georgia. The goals kept coming. They kept trying to build out of the back. They kept turning it over because Spain is an elite counter-pressing side. So I think once the first goal goes in for Spain, this thing is going to snowball. Hopefully our guy Alvaro Morata scores multiple goals here and gets back in the Golden Boot race. But for me, I think Spain has the potential to score 5 or 6 here. So I like over 3.5 goals at +275.
Okay, I'll ruin this one with Belgium plus 350 on the 90-minute line. I think that this is a great spot to buy low. I actually think this Belgium team has some legs in it. We've seen the bottom for them. I think there's only one way to go, and I know France is going to be a really, really tough opponent for them, but I do feel they might be a little more comfortable against a team that's going to try to play into the game rather than the ones that they saw in the group stage, which we're happy to sit back and let Belgium just miss chance after chance after chance. Maybe 1 or 2 of these chances go in for a change, and Belgium wins. So plus 350 on Belgium to pull the upset against France for me, Sam.
Cheers, Michael. Lost us our parlay before it's even begun. I'm going for Austria win and over 3.5 goals at +450. Like I said, both nations are conceding and creating goal scoring opportunities at will stylistically with the work both will want to do in transitions high up the pitch, high turnovers, aggressive pressing, and the bravery both will show when entering in the attacking third. I think this has got all the ingredients for a high scoring, high octane matchup. Big chances will be plentiful in this game. This might just be the best game of the tournament. Yeah, I've got high hopes for it in a game which Austria should edge in terms of quality, both in playing staff and also tactically under Ragnick. So Austria winning over 3.5 goals at +450.
Okay. And if you play all 3 of those legs and they all hit, 92-1 odds on that one. Okay, if you had to pick out a best bet for the round of 16 matches, Sam, what would it be?
England qualify and under 2.5 goals at +110. This is one that I don't think we need to overcomplicate in terms of a betting approach. England haven't wowed going forward. They aren't blowing teams away. They have the attacking components to do so, but we haven't seen that yet, and we might not. England versus Slovenia saw less XG created than any Premier League game last season with 0.80 XG. On match day 1, exactly the same against Serbia. Less XG created than any Premier League game last season with 0.69 XG. So England to go through with goals being scarce gets us to +110, which I don't think is a bad price.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in that match. I like the draw, the 90-minute draw there, plus 333. And you can basically apply all that logic that Sam just mentioned and put it to the draw. I don't really think England will be too much of a threat to run away and hide from this match. Obviously, Slovakia won't be either. So I think the draw will be in reach for all 90 minutes here for England and Slovakia, plus 333. BJ, you can take us home here.
Austria, Turkey, over 2.5 goals and -105. This should be the most fun match of the round of 16. These two teams are creating a lot of chances. They're conceding a ton. They are both, Turkey is at least in the top 5 in terms of expected goals created. Both Austria and Turkey are in the bottom 5 in terms of expected goals allowed. Ralph Ragnick's press always creates chaos. And Turkey is actually very well set up to either beat that or make a lot of mistakes. They played Austria in a friendly and lost 6-1, mainly because they tried to build out of the back and they kept turning it over, and they allowed Austria to get 3 goals off of high turnovers. So if they try to build out of the back here, either one of 2 things are going to happen. They're going to turn it over again. It's going to create a lot of easy opportunities for Austria, or they're going to do what they've done during this tournament and play a lot of long balls over the top, which is what both Netherlands and France had success with against Austria. So either way, it creates a very up and down basketball type match. And like over 2.5 goals at -105.
All right, that's the round of 16 done and dusted for us. We got to get Sam off to Glastonbury, which is not in Scotland. And BJ and I will be back in a couple days to do some more Copa America stuff. But until then, best of luck with all your bets. Thank you to our sponsors, Bet365. Thank you to our producer, Noah. Good luck, everybody.